Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 2.2 rational expressions. We're looking at multiplying and dividing. Now, we touched briefly on factoring last section. I wouldn't be surprised if you were a little messed up with some of those questions that require you to do a little bit more factoring. Okay, so what I might try and do today is give you a little bit more of a review of factoring. But before we do that, I'd like to make you aware of, so if we're dealing with rational expressions, we're dealing with something like fractions, so I'm asking you to remember fractions. Okay, and these are two things that we did with fractions, and they're actually the easiest things. Okay, if you're multiplying fractions, what you do is you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators, and you know this. All right, if I have 2/3 times 3/4, you know that what you're doing, hopefully anyways, is multiplying the top. So 2 times 3 over 3 times 4. This becomes 6 over 12. As I mentioned last session, and I've mentioned it a lot, this is no longer a sufficient answer for you guys. Okay, you need to kick this up a step, or in this case down a step, because I need a simplest version of 6 over 12, which is 1/2. And if you don't get that, you've got a little bit of work cut out for you, okay? Because reducing your fractions is something that has to happen automatically. I shouldn't have to say it, okay? Now, with a division, so 2/3 divided by 3/4. Okay, the one thing that and you can see this a couple ways. It could look like this as well, right? 3 over 4. Division or division. Now, flipping times is the thing. Flipping times, flipping times, flipping times. What we're doing is we're finding the reciprocal. The reciprocal is simply a number flipped. So that's why I wrote reciprocal here. Flipping times is what we say, but some people get a little bit confused sometimes as to which one to flip. And it's always the second one after the division. So this is the same as writing 2/3 times 4 over 3, which ends up being 2 times 4 over 3 times 3, which is 8 over 9. Okay, so I'm asking you to remember how to multiply and divide fractions, because you cannot do the rest if you don't get it. So to simplify these, ladies and gentlemen, to simplify them, what you're going to need to do is factor as much as you can. So let me just give you an example here. Give me one sec. Let's say I'll give you one out of your book. If I have 8x minus 24 all over 3x plus 9 times 4x plus 12 over 6x minus 18. That looks a little daunting to multiply this. Now you could multiply it out and FOIL it, right? Boom, 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 boom. Then you'd have a trinomial, which would be nasty to have to factor it. So what I'm saying to simplify is factor completely numerator and denominator. One of the most important things that you need to do. So if you can't remember how to do that, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at this. This is called GCF factoring. Okay? And you look and see what's the greatest common factor. Hopefully you can see it's an 8. Well, once you take out that greatest common factor, you're essentially dividing each term by that greatest common factor. You call it the greatest common factor, so it has to go into each of these. If you divide this by 8, you're left with an x, and 8 goes into 24 3 times. If you're not sure if you have the right answer, multiply it out. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 3, negative 24. Try and do the other ones. Pause the video and try to solve it yourself. I'm going to continue right now. I can take a 3 out of both. I'm left with x plus 3. And I'm going to put it all together on the top because it's all together now, right? I can take a 4 out. Boom. X plus 3. I can take a 6 out. Boom. X minus 3. Okay, so if we were going to ask for restrictions, you could say that x can't be negative 3 or positive 3 at this point, right? X can't be negative or positive. That sucks. How can you read that, you guys? X can't be plus or minus 3. Okay? If we want to simplify it now, let's just start slashing. X plus 3, gone. X minus 3, gone. What's left? 8 times 4 is 32. 3 times 6 is 18. Can you reduce that? What goes into both? Oh, Mr. Gregor, I think 2 goes into both. That's right. 16 over 9 would be your final answer, okay, for this question. That's GCF factoring, folks, okay? And then I guess the second step, let's have a look. Cancel any common factors, gone, right? State any restrictions before canceling, there we go. Reduce your fractions, right? That's not part of this, but it's still kind of important. Reduce your fractions. There you go. That's all the notes I have for today. So I think the only thing we really should focus on is maybe how to solve some of these questions. And I'd be happy to go over that, guys. And I will do that right now, okay? Let's look at one here. If I gave you x squared minus 3x all over x squared minus x minus 6 times x squared plus x minus 2 x minus x squared. This is a good one to give a shot here. Can you factor something out of this numerator here? Well, I see they both have an x, so x times whatever's left, x minus 3. Okay, and let's put everything on the top now, and then everything on the bottom. So this one here, you guys, is a trinomial, factoring trinomials. These are a little bit easier than the ones that have a number in front here, aside from 1. But what hopefully you can understand is that you're kind of reverse foiling. So these two numbers have to multiply to give you x squared. You only have one choice, it's x and x. They also have to multiply to give you 6, so 6 times 1 or 3 times 2. Right? Those are my choices here. You can try them all. Or remember that the outside and the inside combine to give me negative 1, which means it has to be minus 3 and plus 2. So I'm going to go x minus 3 and x plus 2. Now I'm going to factor this top, x, 2 and 1, plus and a minus. If you have difficulty factoring these, you need to come talk to me. On the bottom here still, we got one more. You see you can factor out an x, and then you're left with 1 minus x. 1 minus x. Now you're fully factored. You are fully factored, numerator, denominator. Next step, cancel any common factors. Well, let's have a look. We're looking at this right here. X minus 3, x plus 2. So you're left with x minus 1 over 1 minus x. You may recall, last section, this looks similar, but they're not quite the same. I can take this 1 minus x, rearrange it so it's got the x first and the number second, then factor out a negative 1, and you're left with the same thing. So this is going to be x minus 1 over negative 1 x minus 1. Cancels it all out. You get negative 1 is your answer. If you wanted to state your restrictions, you need to look at all these three. Okay? 3. So if you wanted to state your restrictions, x cannot be 3, negative 2, 0, or 1. Funky questions, yes I know. Funky questions, yes I know. Now what about division? What about division? Well, I'm just showing you multiplication, but division works exactly the same, right? So if I had x minus 2 over x plus 3, let's say, and we're dividing it by x squared plus x minus 2 all over x squared minus 4, well, the division simply means you flip it around. So x minus 2 over x plus 3 times x squared minus 4 over x squared plus x minus 2. I haven't done anything but rewrite it as a multiplication. And then, boom, x minus 2, everything on the top. This is a difference of squares. Hopefully some of you will remember that it becomes that. X plus 3 on the bottom. This one, x, 2, 1. It's going to be a plus and a minus. If you wanted to state your restrictions, now's the time to do it. X can't be negative 3, x can't be 1, x can't be negative 2. Restrictions. Awesome. Now, what cancels? Minus 2. No, minus 2 doesn't go. What am I talking about? This one doesn't simplify much at all. Anyways, what does disappear is a plus and a plus. So what you're left with is x minus 2 times x minus 2 all over x plus 3 times x minus 1. You could rewrite this still, combining the top if you like. Not necessary, but as long as you can see that x minus 2 times x minus 2 is x minus 2 squared. This is the multiplication and division of rational expressions. Your factoring sorted out, different types of factoring. There's factoring by grouping as well, which is covered in the grade 10. So please have a look at those videos if you're having difficulty, or simply come see me at lunchtime. Okay, have a good one.